Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing? We are going to do a little change of pace today, so I'm going to need the taps, the shares, and everything so much more because what we're doing is we're going back and we are reading the Texas House of Representatives Investigative Committee on the Robb Elementary shooting. I haven't read this in over 2 years. This came out in like July of 2022. So about a month after it happened, a little over a month. So there's going to be some stuff, if I recall correctly, that is completely wrong, completely bullshit, and we're going to go through it because this is on the record. This report that was made over 2 years ago is still on the record. So we'll be switching over and reading this. Before we get started, though, can everybody see it good on all platforms? Can we see it good on TikTok? Can we see it good on YouTube? Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. You see, I do know at one point I will have to take it off the screen to where y'all can't see it. I will still continue to read it, but there is a picture of the guns, and I don't want to be deplatformed or whatever because of it. So I'm just going to have to take it off the screen that y'all can see. And then as soon as I get past reading where the pictures are, then we'll turn it right back on. But for everything else, we're gonna read straight through. So like I said, this is the Texas House of Representatives Investigative Committee on the Robb Elementary shooting. It was led by Representative Dustin Burrows, who this past session became the Speaker of the House for Texas. Not a good dude, piece of shit, liar, manipulator, all of those things. So there's that. The vice chair is Representative Joe Moody, and the Honorable Eva Guzman was a member of it. This was published July 17th of 2022. So literally like 40 some odd days after the shooting. The House Investigative Committee on the Robb Elementary shooting, Texas House of Representatives, Interim Report 2022. And it's funny that they called it the interim report because they haven't released a full report after that. They just did this and said, fuck it. They wiped their hands of it and just moved on. So, yeah. The DOJ report that we will read after this in upcoming days and everything is a lot more thorough, a lot more impactful. But even then, they still got some things wrong. So I want to go through these. This is saying the same shit. Dustin Burrows is the chair. The committee clerk was Paige Higgard. And this was a report to the House of Representatives, 88th Texas Legislature. So Dustin Burrows, chair, the P.O. Box, Austin, Texas, yada, yada, yada. The dishonorable Dade Phelan, Speaker, Texas House of Representatives, member of the Texas House of Representatives. Dear Mr. Speaker and fellow members, the Investigative Committee on the Robb Elementary shooting on the 88th Legislature hereby submits its interim report for your consideration. Respectfully submitted, Dustin Burrows, Joe Moody, and Eva Guzman. Table of contents, and I want to zoom in a little bit more. Let me see if I can. Let me adjust this real quick. There we go. All right, that's as zoomed as we can get it on TikTok. Anyways, this is the table of contents. Obviously, there's the introduction, there's the background and history, there's the school security and facilities overview, the attacker. It goes into the family and early life school the year before the last days, the May 24th incident, information flow, and the factual conclusions. And I need to tell y'all this as well. It's very ironic to me. I don't think that they did this on purpose, but this document is 77 pages long. The same, a page for every minute that the officers sat outside and didn't do anything. Preface. This is the interim report of the Investigative Committee of the Robb Elementary School shooting of the Texas House of Representatives. Conscious of the desire of the Uvalde community and the public at large to receive an accurate account of the tragedy at Robb Elementary School, the committee has worked diligently and with care to issue this interim report of its factual findings. This is not an accurate account, by the way. The committee's work is not complete. Yeah, and y'all didn't do anything. Y'all didn't continue to do anything, right? Like, this was it. You handed this and you wiped your hands of it. You said, fuck it. Anyways, we do not have access to all material witnesses. Medical examiners have not yet issued any reports about their findings, and multiple other investigations remain ongoing. Uzi just jumped off the wall at me. All right. The committee believes this interim report constitutes the most compelling telling to date of the events of and leading to the May 24th, 2022 tragedy. This committee has prioritized factual accuracy, as will be evident from our attention to conducting our own interviews and documenting our sources of information. Still, based on the experiences of past mass shooting events, we understand some aspects of these interim findings may be disputed or disproven in the future. So right there, they're literally like, oh, we're doing this, and we're giving you all the facts, but if anything's found is disputed or disproven, well, we're just letting you know that it could be. Like, This committee issues the interim report now, believing the victims, the families, and the entire Uvalde community have already waited too long for answers and transparency. That's probably the most accurate fucking thing thus far. Acknowledgements. See, even then, they started off. I want y'all to notice this. They acknowledge this to people before they even acknowledge the kids. They acknowledge to their staff before they even acknowledge the kids. This committee gratefully acknowledges the assistance of all who helped with its investigation and the preparation of this interim report, including Clement Abondandalo, Margot Cardwell, Courtney Chaplin, Matthew Crow, Casey Garrett, Harrison Garrett, Paige Higgard, Ted Liggett, Michael Massengale, Colton McDougald, and Alec Sahula. Dedication. This committee submits this report with great humility and the deepest respect for the victims and their families. It is the committee's sincere hope that this brings some clarity for them as to the facts that happened. This report is meant to honor them. You will notice the name of the attacker is not mentioned. We also will not use his image so as not to glorify him. That's about the only thing that they did good. That's about the only thing. You already found an inaccuracy? Did I miss something? Okay. So now it's going to they showed respect. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So now it's going to get into the children and everything. There is an inaccuracy on Uzziah's name because there was a bunch of misinformation in the beginning, but we've talked about that a million times. I don't know how accurate all of these are. I haven't and did not hear of anybody not agreeing with their with the quote unquote profile of their children. So we're just going to go through and read with the most respect. Nevaeh Alyssa Bravo. Nevaeh is remembered as a playful girl who put a smile on the faces of everyone around her. Her family meant the world to her, and she often helped her father around the house. Nevaeh loved the colors pink and purple and enjoyed playing softball and riding her bike. Jackie Jalen Casares. Jackie is remembered as a caring girl who enjoyed singing and making TikTok videos. Jackie loved animals, especially her 4 dogs, and wanted to become a veterinarian. She also dreamt of visiting Paris. Jackie was known as someone who would go out of her way to help anyone. McKenna Lee Elrod. McKenna is remembered as the light in the lives of those who knew her. She loved the color purple, softball and gymnastics, and spending time with her family, especially time on the ranch with her dad. Her smile lit up rooms, and she liked to leave hidden notes for her family to find. Jose Manuel Flores Jr. Jose is remembered as loving and kind. He was an honor roll student who wanted to be a police officer when he grew up to help protect people. Jose was an amazing big brother who looked out for his siblings, and his parents called him a helper because he was always pitching in at home. Eliana Ellie Amaya Garcia. Ellie is remembered as a gentle, kind-hearted girl who loved spending time with her family and was very close with her grandparents. She loved playing basketball and wanted to be a cheerleader one day. Ellie adored the colors pink and purple and loved a nice bowl of ramen noodles. She was a long-term planner who was already picking dresses and dances for her quinceañera 5 years away. Irma Garcia. Irma is remembered as courageous and selfless, a wife and mother of 4 who was always willing to lend a helping hand to anyone who needed one. She was a 23-year teacher. Irma died protecting her students, and her heroism will be remembered forever. Uzziah Sergio Garcia. Uzziah is remembered as an outgoing boy who loved his family, as well as his cousins and brothers from another mother. He was always fair and full of life, and he enjoyed running, swimming, football, and playing his Nintendo Switch and Oculus. A lot of that is true. He did not enjoy swimming. It irritated his skin issue. So, yeah, that wasn't always that isn't correct. Amory Jo Garza. Amory is remembered as considerate and fun-loving. She was protective of her 3-year-old brother and would kiss him every morning before she went to school. Amory loved swimming, drawing, and vanilla bean frappes from Starbucks. She dreamt of becoming an art teacher one day. Xavier James Lopez. Xavier is remembered as an active boy who loved swimming and playing Little League Baseball for his team, the Blue Jays. He was lively, energetic, and always eager to dance, especially the cumbia, with his grandmother. Xavier was known for wearing stylish clothes and had a smile that could cheer anyone up. Jace Carmelo Luevnos. Jace is remembered as a happy, thoughtful boy with many friends who always seemed to be running around his yard with him. Uzziah was one. Jace was his best friend. He made his grandparents a pot of coffee every morning and would leave notes saying that he loved them. Dinosaurs were one of his favorite things. Tess Marie Mata. Tess is remembered as a natural athlete who enjoyed softball, soccer, and gymnastics. She especially loved doing backbends and gymnastics. Tess was a fan of the Houston Astros and even played the same position as her favorite player, Jose Altuve, in softball. She was saving up money for a family vacation to Disney World. Miranda Gail Mathis. Miranda is remembered as smart and nice, a shy tomboy who loved the color purple, especially when it was on unicorns and mermaids. Miranda also enjoyed spending time outdoors and had an incredible imagination. Eva Mireles. Eva is remembered as dedicated and vibrant. She enjoyed CrossFit, hiking, spending time with her dog Kane, and being with her family. Her smile was bright, and her commitment to her students was still unwavering after 17 years as an educator. She was a hero who never gave up throughout an impossible ordeal. Alithia Haven Ramirez. Alithia is remembered as talented and big-hearted. She was a gifted artist who wanted to go to art school in Paris one day. She was also a mature role model to her siblings and was always thoughtful about helping those in need. Annabelle Guadalupe Rodriguez. Annabelle is remembered as empathetic and loyal. She enjoyed spending time with her sisters and watching TikToks. Her favorite color was blue, especially blue found on butterflies. Annabelle was on the honor roll and known for being a sharp student. Maite Juliana Rodriguez. Maite is remembered as sweet and competitive. She loved learning about animals and the ocean, especially dolphins, whales, and dogs. She was an honor student who dreamt of attending Texas A&M to become a marine biologist. Her favorite color was green, and she enjoyed a number 13 from Whataburger, always with a side of sliced jalapenos. Alexandria Lexi Anaya Rubio. Lexi is remembered as intelligent and driven. She had a contagious smile and enjoyed playing softball and basketball, which she excelled at. Lexi was an all-A student who wanted to become a lawyer one day. She was interested in social and political issues because she wanted to make a difference. Layla Marie Salazar. Layla is remembered as witty and lively. She loved singing with her parents while coming to and from school and going with her grandparents for tacos. She was also an avid swimmer, dancer, and runner who'd won 6 races at a recent field day. Jayla Nicole Salguero. Jayla is remembered as a joy to be around, a pure delight who enjoyed making TikToks to show off her family and friends. Jayla was always dancing and liked to spend time outdoors as well. Eliana Torres. Eliana is remembered as loving and compassionate. She enjoyed making other people laugh and was a master of jests. She was also an amazing softball player, up for a spot on the city's all-star team. Eliana was a natural leader who was known for her warmth and selflessness. Rogelio Fernandez Torres. Rogelio is remembered as a clever, positive boy who enjoyed being outdoors in his free time, as well as playing football and video games like Pokemon. Rogelio was always eager to help others and had a real love for life. We're going to sit here for a second in silence and just remember everything that we had just read. All of those lives taken way too soon. All of those lives who have still not received justice. All of those babies, all of those heroes. We are going to sit and honor them for a few seconds. This is where we get into to the report. This is where we get into the report. I will be making interjections and everything as I see them, as I come across them. I might miss shit. Like I said, there's so much that has happened. There's so much that has came out after this that I can't guarantee 100% that I will catch everything, but we will definitely try our damnedest. The introduction and executive summary. There is nothing we can do to heal the wounds suffered by the Uvalde community. Nothing that can redress the loss of 21 souls stolen from their families and friends. We must critically examine the contributing factors to the horrific massacre at Robb Elementary to try to provide answers and prevent similar tragedies in the future. I'm going to stop right there. They have done nothing. Absolutely nothing. The state of Texas, who is represented within the confines of this fucking report, they have done nothing, absolutely nothing since May 24th to help prevent similar tragedies in the future. Not anything. They have not done a single fucking thing. Right out the gate, lying. A safer environment for all Texas children is one of the ways we can honor the memory of the students and teachers murdered in Uvalde. Yeah, it is. It is a way that you can honor the memory. Why haven't you done it? A safer environment would mean implementing common sense gun reform so that this shit is harder to fucking do. Across our state, men and women who work in the fields of education and law enforcement exemplify both service and sacrifice. You know, we're going to have words to say about this. Teachers dedicate themselves to the betterment of society through the promise of a new generation. Correct. Police officers see danger and run to meet it, knowing the cost and stepping forward to pay it. We already knew by now that it had taken 77 minutes, that they had not done nothing, that none of them ran towards it, that they all just sat there. How are you going to literally put this report in when you do go through and say, towards the end of this, you'll see, yeah, the officers felt. How are you going to say that? How are you going to put that in there? In pursuing these high callings, teachers and police officers live in the public square, nurturing, encouraging, protecting, and preserving. That goes to the teachers, not to police. They render this service on behalf of us all, but especially for children. Really. Who are the most innocent and vulnerable among us. Like the rest of us, educators and law enforcement sometimes fail at crucial moments. When they do, that does not diminish the good work and sacrificial service of their professions as a whole. 100% it fucking does. And why are they trying to compare teachers to police officers? Like, what the fuck? How are they going to try to compare that? And then, oh, well, they're just humans. Well, then don't join that profession. Do not join that fucking profession if this is how you're going to act. If you're going to sit outside for 77 minutes while children were dying, nobody's questioning the judgment. Nobody is questioning their superior officers. Nobody's even saying, fuck it, I'm just going to go in. They can fire me afterwards. So no, fuck that. Of necessity, this report will describe shortcomings and failures of the Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District and of various agencies and officers of law enforcement. At the outset, we acknowledge that those same shortcomings could be found throughout the state of Texas. We must not delude ourselves into a false sense of security by believing that this would not happen where we live, because you don't do anything. Holy fuck. The people of Uvalde undoubtedly felt the same way. We must all take seriously the threats to security in our schools and the need to be properly prepared to confront active shooter scenarios. Or, I don't know, great idea. Let's make it harder to get the guns that allow these things to happen. Let's be preventative instead of reactive. Maybe that'll fucking work. This next part is fucking diabolical. Other than the attacker, the committee did not find any villains in the course of its investigation. Yeah, every single one of those officers who did not go in are a fucking villain in this story. The administration of the school, knowing that certain doors were not capable of locking and did not lock, yeah, they're villains. How are you going to say that? Like, you can't say that with a straight face. You 100% cannot say that with a straight fucking face. And like I said earlier, I know that y'all can see it on the screen. Look, if you look down at the bottom of this page, it says, the Robb Committee report, 5 of 77. I want y'all to go ahead and see, like, that fucking number is obviously prevalent. I don't think they did it on purpose. There is no one to whom we can attribute malice or ill motives. Yeah, the cops, you can. You absolutely can. Yep. Instead, we found systemic failures and egregiously poor decision-making, which would make them villains. We recognize that the impact of the tragedy is felt most profoundly by the people of Uvalde in ways we cannot fully comprehend. The people of Uvalde, they didn't give a shit. They just wanted all the free shit. And then said, fuck all. They fought against us. They voted against us parents. They went out of their way. They voted in one of the officers to be a county commissioner after the fact. They were pissed at us when the administrator, the superintendent left and blamed it on my sit out. They fought with us over that. The people, the community of Uvalde, they didn't give a shit. They didn't give a flying fuck. So fuck that. It should be rewritten to say, we recognize that the impact of this tragedy is felt most profoundly by the fucking families of the victims. But with hindsight, we can say that Robb Elementary did not adequately prepare for the risk of an armed intruder on campus. The school's 5-foot-tall exterior fence was inadequate to meaningfully impede an intruder. While the school had adopted security policies to lock exterior doors and internal classroom doors, there was a regrettable culture of noncompliance by school personnel who frequently propped doors open and deliberately circumvented locks. Now, before we move on with that, see, this might take longer than just one night of fucking reading, because I'm already getting irritated. I'm already getting fucking irritated. Huh. Okay. Well, yes. There was non-compliance by school personnel who frequently propped doors open, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, we get that. But what this report doesn't talk about, what the DOJ report doesn't talk about, what none of these reports ever fucking talk about, is that these doors were unlocked. The outer doors, right, were unlocked and locked by fucking maintenance. The teachers did not have a key to that outer door that they walked into. I'm going to say that again. The teachers did not have a key to open or unlock that outside door to come in. Why do we not know who that was? Why do we not know who that was? It's bullshit. And they say that this shit over and over, the propping the doors open, so much so that they wrongfully accused someone of doing that so loud on national news and everything like that, and then turned around, and when it came out that no, she didn't leave the rock there, she closed the door fucking fully and everything, tell me why the fuck that apology was not as loud as that accusation. They really fucked people over. At a minimum, school administrators, yeah, and that's another thing. The administration knew, the principal knew that door didn't lock, the inside door. At a minimum, school administrators and school district police tacitly condoned this behavior as they were aware of these unsafe practices and did not treat them as serious infractions requiring immediate correction. Yeah, so tell me why no school administrator got fired. Tell me why the principal got switched over to a different position so that they couldn't get fired. Tell me why that happens. Let me see here. In fact, the school actually suggested circumventing the locks as a solution for the convenience of substitute teachers and others who like their own keys. Who does that fall on? Administration. Can y'all name me one administrator that got fired? I'll wait. The school district did not treat the maintenance of doors and locks with appropriate urgency. In particular, staff and students widely knew that the door to one of the victimized classrooms, room 111, was ordinarily unsecured and accessible. Room 111 could be locked, but an extra effort was required to make sure that the latch engaged. Many knew room 111's door had a faulty lock, and school district police had specifically warned the teacher about it. The problem with locking the door had been reported to school administration, yet no one placed a written work order for a repair. So once again, the school police tried to put it off on the teacher whose door was faulty. The teacher actually put it in to school administration, and school administration did nothing. Tell me why that principal, that administrator, still has a job. Very great point. If the school police knew this, right, and there was only 5 school police for the whole district, right, if they knew that this door didn't lock, then why did they spend 77 minutes looking for keys? If they knew that this didn't lock and it didn't lock properly, why were they looking for keys? Huh. That makes sense. And they also knew that you had to lock it from the outside too. So they didn't think that, they just thought this guy went in and locked the door and did this. Holy fuck. Let's see. Another factor contributing to relaxed vigilance on campus was the frequency of security alerts and campus lockdowns resulting from a recent rise of bailouts. The term used in border communities for the increasingly frequent occurrence of human traffickers trying to outrun the police, usually ending with the smuggler crashing the vehicle and the passengers fleeing in all directions. The frequency of these bailout-related alarms, around 50 of them between February and May of 22, contributed to a diminished sense of vigilance about responding to security alerts. There were 50 bailouts from February to May of 2022. There was over 50, but so they just said, fuck it. And that's not just beholden to them as well, right? I was used to it. We had so many bailouts that when that first alarm came, we thought, it's just another bailout. Where the school sits, the highway that comes in from Eagle Pass comes up around that way. So, yeah. Other factors delayed the reporting of the threat to the campus and to law enforcement. Low-quality internet service, poor mobile phone coverage, and varying habits of mobile phone usage at the school all led to inconsistent receipt of the lockdown notice by teachers. If the alert had reached more teachers sooner, it is likely that more could have been done to protect them and their students. The administration knew this. The school district knew this. The state knew this. Why wasn't anything done? Let me see. In violation of school policy, no one had locked any of the 3 exterior doors to the west building of Robb Elementary. Why aren't y'all calling out the maintenance? Who were the ones that locked it? Let me see here. As a result, the attacker had unimpeded access to enter. Yeah, so did the cops. So did the fucking cops. Once inside, the attacker continued into the adjoining rooms 111 and 112, probably through the door to room 111, and apparently completely unimpeded. Locking the exterior and interior doors ultimately may not have been enough to stop the attacker from entering the building and classrooms, but had school personnel locked the doors at the school's policy as the school policies required, that could have slowed his progress for a few precious minutes, long enough to receive alerts, hide children, and lock doors, and long enough to give police more opportunity to engage and stop the attacker before he could massacre 19 students and 2 teachers. We know that they saw him outside. See, this is another thing. We know that they saw the shooter before he even went into the fucking school. So, yeah, it could have given them a few more minutes to not do anything. Because of the failures of facilities maintenance and I'm going to try that again. Because of these failures of facilities, maintenance, and advanced preparation, the attacker fired most of his shots and likely murdered most of his innocent victims before any responder set foot in the building. Of the approximately 142 rounds the attacker fired inside the building, it is almost certain that he rapidly fired over 100 of these rounds before any officer entered. They saw them outside. They could have stopped this. Let me see. Before we go further, let me read off something real quick. One second, guys. And also while we're doing this, this is live on YouTube right now, and will also be, if you missed any part, if you coming in late, if you have to leave early, it is up on YouTube, and you will be able to replay it in case you missed anything. Before we go any further, I want to give a shout out to Vintage Frizzle, who sent $10 and said, "You shouldn't have to do any of this, but the lives of survivors, loved ones of victims, and those who take care victims are better every day because you do this work to change minds. Thank you. Thank you so much. I do truly appreciate it. The responders, and we are currently on page 7 of 77. Since the 1999 Columbine tragedy, law enforcement community has recognized the critical importance of implementing active shooter training for all officers, regardless of specialty. Yes, this is facts. They knew it. In fact, they were trained like 6 weeks before, 6 months before. Really, it wasn't that long out since after they had active shooter training. Like, it was mere months. Also, all officers must now acknowledge that stopping the killing of innocent lives is the highest priority in active shooter response, and all officers must be willing to risk their lives without hesitation. This is correct and false at the same time, because we know that the Supreme Court has told them that they don't have to. They don't ever have to risk their lives, right? But it is common knowledge that stop the shooting, stop the killing. That is the main mantra behind active shooter training. Stop the shooting, stop the killing. That is the most important fucking thing. Tell me why nobody did that for 77 minutes. Why they let children bleed out, while they let them suffer. At Robb Elementary, law enforcement responders failed to adhere to their active shooter training, and they failed to prioritize saving the lives of innocent victims over their own safety. I thought a little bit earlier, though, they were like, there's no villains in this story. I'm going to go ahead and read this again. And you notice that it's its own standalone paragraph, right? I mean, standalone sentence. At Robb Elementary, law enforcement responders failed to adhere to their active shooter training, and they failed to prioritize saving lives of innocent victims over their own safety. I'm going to let y'all sit with that for a second. The first wave of responders to arrive included the chief of the school district police and the commander of the Uvalde Police Department SWAT team. Now, that's incorrect. That is 100% incorrect. When we go through the DOJ report, we'll explain this even more. Literally, there was a school officer and 3 city police that were there that saw him before he walked into the school. The city police asked, "Can I take a shot? Can I take a shot?" And then didn't do a fucking thing. So once again, this is unfactual information that they have put out and have not since clarified. Despite the immediate presence of local law enforcement leaders, there was an unacceptably long period of time before officers breached the classroom, neutralized the attacker, and began rescue efforts. I love how they glossed over that. Oh, there was just a long period of time before officers breached the classroom. Like they breached the classroom, they neutralized the attacker, they began rescue efforts, but there was just a long period of time before that. Yeah, 77 fucking minutes. Children were in that classroom, dead, bleeding out, suffering, hiding, calling on the phone with 911, all while this fucking monster was still in the room because officers were too chicken shit to go in. What's up, Puff?
So, a couple things to clarify because some questions that keep going. Um, Adrian Gonzalez, who is has a court case coming up soon, was one of the school department officers who saw him prior to him entering the school. So, yes, there were officers that saw him before he entered the school. Additionally, their BS about how they forgot their training. You can clearly hear them saying fatal funnel, cutting the pie, which is part of their training. So, no, they didn't forget it. They just didn't follow it
Yeah.
at all. So, just a couple clarifications there. Yeah, city officers as well as school officers saw him. And frankly, had the sheriff's department operated properly and notified people, there would have been even more officers there and would have stopped him before.
Correct.
So it was all preventable. I don't even think they go into that, but
No, and like I've already, yeah, like I said at the beginning of this, there's going to be a lot of shit that I don't catch or think about because there's already so many things that have came out, and there's so many just failures in this writing that we might have to make several passes.
yeah, yeah. It'll be interesting. There's a lot of things that contradict the DOJ report, which is weird, considering there's just a lot of interesting things I've already noticed that are different. So,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
yeah, that's it. Just wanted to clarify.
All right, thank you so much.
Like,
All right, let's get back to it. Let me see here. Where are we at? Oh, we do not know at the time whether responders could have saved more lives by shortening that delay, but we do, and they could have. Regardless, law enforcement committed numerous mistakes in violation of current active shooter training, and there are important lessons to be learned from each faulty assumption and poor decision made that day. There was 376 officers. Less than a handful have been fired. In fact, they let some of them walk away before they got fired. So, let me see here. Regardless, law enforcement committed numerous mistakes in violation of current active shooter training, and there are important lessons to be learned from each faulty assumption and poor decision made that day. Yeah, children die because y'all didn't do shit. Uvalde CISD's written active shooter plan directed its police chief to assume command and control of response to an active shooter. The chief of police, sorry, give me 1 second, guys. I have been a little sick lately, so give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Let me see here. The chief of police was one of the first responders on the scene, but as events unfolded, he failed to perform or to transfer to another person the role of incident commander. This was an essential duty he had assigned to himself in the plan mentioned above, and yet it was not effectively performed by anyone. To state what happened, yeah, once again, not a villain, but Pete Arredondo, he wrote the active shooter plan for the school district, said that he was in charge, right? And then just didn't do anything. Just didn't do anything. This was an essential duty he had assigned to himself in the plan mentioned above, yet it was not effectively performed by anyone. The void of leadership could have contributed to the loss of life, as injured victims waited over an hour for help, and the attacker continued to sporadically fire his weapon. A command post could have transformed chaos into order, including the deliberate assignments of tasks and the flow of the information necessary to inform critical decision making. Notably, nobody ensured that responders making key decisions inside the building received information that students and teachers had survived the initial burst of gunfire, were trapped in rooms 111 and 112, and had called out for help. That's a goddamn lie. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. They did know. We have video. We have videos of teachers in the classroom reaching out, and the officers knowing about it. We have video and audio proof of children calling 911 and those dispatchers actively talking to Arredondo. I literally got arrested for calling this shit out because I said the word fuck. Mariano Pargas, who is acting chief of the city for the day, right, got that information and walked the fuck away. I say this in a county commissioner's meeting, I get arrested. But he literally walked the fuck away with that information. So I don't understand how the fuck it's going to say, notably, nobody ensured that responders making key decisions inside the building received information. Yes, they did have that information. They were cowards. They were chicken shit. They were afraid of that fucking gun. Holy fuck. I didn't think I was going to be this pissed off during this fucking rereading of this. Like I said, I haven't read this in over 2 years. Some responders outside and inside the building knew that information through radio communications. So it says there's responders outside and inside the building that knew that information. You just contradicted yourself. But nobody in command analyzed this information to recognize that the attacker was preventing critically injured victims from obtaining medical care. We know that's bullshit. That is bullshit. You literally have Pete Arredondo saying over and over, we've got time. Time is on our side. He fucking knew. Every single one of those cops that was in there knew that there were children in there, that they had been shot, that they were bleeding out. They knew. Even your state troopers, which is why you're not actively shitting on the fucking cops, because your state troopers, state of Texas, who's doing this report, failed. We're cowards. Instead of continuing to act as if they were addressing a barricaded subject scenario in which responders had time on their side, they should have reassessed the scenario as one involving an active shooter. Yeah, they should have. The idiots in charge called it a barricaded situation. As shots are popping off, they're still calling it a barricaded situation. Real quick, and I haven't been reading the chats and everything, but I just did see this and I need to address this. Somebody said, what happened to the one teacher who left the door open? She didn't. She didn't. She has been unjustly and fucking hung out to dry and verbally abused by people, by the system, by the state, by the state agencies, all of that. And that when it came out that that's not what happened, that apology was not as loud as the accusal. She is a fucking hero. And I'm not upset at you for asking this question, because obviously this is why we're doing this again. Why we haven't done this in about 2 years, and we're doing it again because of all the misinformation that was presented in the DOJ report, all of the videos and everything. We're going to go back through it because I am so tired of people being wrongfully accused of shit. And I am so tired of people who had direct access to be able to go in and save those children that sat around and did not a goddamn thing. Much love, Amy. Much love. Oh, let me get back to it. Correcting this error should have sparked greater urgency to immediately breach the classroom by any possible means to subdue the attacker and to deliver immediate aid to surviving victims. Yes, but at the same fucking time, they called it a barricaded situation and he was still shooting children. Recognition of an active shooter scenario also should have prompted responders to prioritize the rescue of innocent victims over the precious time wasted in a search for door keys and shields to enhance the safety of law enforcement responders. I'm not even gonna touch on that. I'm not even gonna fucking address that or touch on that at fucking all. Because that is just, we'll get to the fucking keys. Trust me. An effective incident commander located away from the drama unfolding inside the building would have realized that radios were mostly ineffective and that responders needed other lines of communications to communicate important information like the victim's phone calls from inside the classrooms. An off-site overall incident commander likely could have located a master key more quickly. Several people on campus had one. An off-site overall incident commander may have suggested checking to see if officers could open the door without a key. In hindsight, they probably could have. Oh, they 100% could have, because it wasn't locked. It was not capable of being locked. They just didn't go in because they were scared. An off-site overall incident commander who properly categorized the crisis as an active shooter scenario should have urged using other secondary means to breach the classroom, such as using a sledgehammer as suggested in active shooter training or entering through exterior windows. You don't have to do that when the door's unlocked. Oh, look. We're seeing a little scapegoating right now. While it is the Uvalde CISD and the police department's failure, it's also the city cops, the sheriff's failure, the state cops, the Texas Rangers. They all failed. They all fucking failed. But you're just going to blame it on two organizations instead of all of them, because if you blame it on all of them, then you have to blame yourself. Got it. Uvalde CISD and its police department failed to implement their active shooter plan and failed to exercise command and control of law enforcement responding to the tragedy. But these local officials were not the only ones expected to supply the leadership needed during this tragedy. Hundreds of responders from numerous law enforcement agencies, many of whom were better trained and better equipped than the school district police, quickly arrived on the scene. Those other responders who had also received training on active shooter response and interrelation of law enforcement agencies could have helped to address the unfolding chaos. They could have, but they didn't because they're cowards and pieces of shit. Yet, in this crisis, no responder sees the initiative to establish an incident command post. Despite an obvious atmosphere of chaos, the ranking officers of other responding agencies did not approach the Uvalde CISD chief of police or anyone else perceived to be in command to point out the lack of and need for a command post or to offer that specific assistance. Several will suggest that they were misled by false or misleading information they received as they arrived. However, the chaos described by almost all of them demonstrates that, at a minimum, responders should have asked more questions. This suggests a training deficiency in that responding officers failed to adequately question the absence of command. I do apologize. Other responders failed to be sufficiently assertive by identifying the incident commander and offering their assistance or guidance, or by assuming command in the absence of any other responder having expressly done so. In this sense, the entirety of law enforcement and its training, preparation, and response share systemic responsibility for many missed opportunities of that tragic day. All right. Before we go on, questions, guys. Questions. Do y'all have any? And also, thank you so much, Beverly, for the 20. Said, I'm sure every day sucks for you. We appreciate you so much for continuing to try to keep others safe in honor of Uzi. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And let me see. And also, thank you so much, Steph, for the 25. Said, I appreciate you. Keep fighting the good fight. R for you. Absolutely. Absolutely. R for you. Yep. Did the officer see the gun? Why the fuck did they not do anything? They saw it. They saw it, but yeah, they didn't do anything. They don't ever really give reasons why. We know it's because they're scared. You know? There's a reason why at least one of them. I mean, two people are going to be on trial for this. Two is not nearly enough. There was 176 officers there. Two was not nearly enough, but he's the one that has like 26 charges, something like that. No, there were 376. Yeah, they call it all the time. We didn't want to get clapped out. Did his grandma call warning that he had just shot her? Yeah. She did. Are they moving his trial from Uvalde? So Adrian Gonzalez's has been moved. It will be in Corpus. His is coming up soon. Pete Arredondo's, who was the chief of the school police, wasn't. I don't have any new updates on his. I'm thinking I've been hearing that it may be in San Antonio, but there's not a different date yet. Will the public be allowed to attend the trials? I don't think so. I don't know though, but I don't. Like I said, like don't put, you know, don't quote me, but I'm not sure. But because of people involved, you know. All right. So now we're going to have a background and history of the investigation, right? And I just want y'all to show. Now they're just going like, oh, hey, they told us to come and do this, so we're doing this. Let me see here. Holy shit. There's how many pages of this? We might walk through this really fast because I don't think it's very important. You know what I'm saying? W sector rate. I appreciate y'all so much. What we are doing right now is we are going through what we are going through right now is the House report on the Robb shooting. So many discrepancies, so many fucked up shit. But on June 3rd, 2022, Speaker of the Texas House of Representatives, Dade Phelan, created by proclamation the Investigative Committee on the Robb Elementary shooting. Pursuant to Rule 1, Section 17, and Rule 4, Sections 57 and 58 of the Rules of the House of Representatives, 3 members were appointed to the committee. Representative Dustin Burrows, who would be the chair, Representative Joe Moody, who would be the vice chair, and the Honorable Eva Guzman, the public member. The Speaker gave the committee the same authority and duties conferred on standing committees under the rules, and the committee is set to expire on the date of the 88th on the date that the 88th legislature convenes. Speaker Phelan charged the committee with the duty to conduct all inquiries into the actions of any state or local officer, employee, department, agency, institution, or instrumentality, and any political subdivision needed to make a complete and thorough examination of the facts and circumstances of the events relating to the violent acts, shootings, and murders at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde. Holy fuck, that is the longest single sentence I've ever fucking read. In the conduct of its investigation, the Speaker charged the committee to examine the evidence developed by all law enforcement authorities and to acquire and analyze additional evidence as needed to make comprehensive findings. The committee has had the additional duty of providing assistance to the Select Committee on Youth Health and Safety and the Committee of Homeland Security and Public Safety in the consideration of their joint charges on mass violence prevention and community safety. This committee shall submit a final report in the same manner as an interim study committee under Rule 4, Section 61, Rules of the House of Representatives. Put more simply, this is a fact-finding committee. So then why have we already called out all of the facts thus far that are just completely fucking wrong? Why is that? The Speaker has tasked other legislative committees with the difficult but critical responsibility of proposing policy in response to the tragedy at Robb Elementary School. Yeah, some did. And the Republicans voted against it. Imagine that. The committee held its first meeting on June 9th, 2022 in Austin, Texas. In an extensive briefing and executive session, Colonel Stephen McGraw, director of the Texas Department of Public Safety, provided the committee an overview of the status of the ongoing DPS investigation, including the attacker's background, the incident timeline, and the response by law enforcement. The committee reviewed a composite video recording of the attacker's approach to the school and law enforcement's response. The meeting concluded with DPS agreeing to provide its evidence to the committee. Well, that's funny because they continue to hide evidence. And it's funny because Stephen McGraw is the one that blamed the teacher for keeping the door open causing all of that bullshit, all of that trauma, all of that strife, all of that just, right? Steve McGraw is the worst of the worst. At one point, he said that if any of his officers were found to be culpable of the shooting, right, that he would resign. They were found culpable of the shooting, and he still continued to not resign. He's not a man of his word. He is words that I can't say right now. The committee then heard 3 days of testimony on June 16th, 17th, and 20th in Uvalde, Texas. Testifying witnesses included employees of UCISD, including Robb staff, the Uvalde CISD Police Department, the Uvalde Police Department, the Department of Public Safety, and members of the attacker's family. Literally, I sat outside of that committee for those days, the 16th and the 17th. On June 17th, all three members of the committee visited the Robb Elementary School campus, accompanied by Uvalde CISD Superintendent Dr. Hal Harrell. We'll get to him later. And the committee paid its respects to the victims and to the community by laying a floral wreath at the school memorial. We don't want that. That's not paying respect to the victims. Paying respect to the victims would have meant you people in the committee had the ability to persuade and change minds to ensure that real laws were implemented that would prevent these things from happening to anybody else. That would have been honoring and paying respect to them. Not laying a fucking flower. Uvalde CISD Police Chief Pete Arredondo testified before the committee in Austin, Texas on June 21st, followed by Sergeant Thomas Calabro with the Houston Police Department, who provided information about training and standard practices for law enforcement responses to active shooter scenarios and for the command and coordination of multiple responding law enforcement agencies. The committee returned to Uvalde on June 29th and June 30th. On June 29th, the committee interviewed Uvalde Mayor Don McLaughlin, 4 Robb Elementary School 4th grade teachers, and 5 employees of the Uvalde Police Department, including a dispatcher. The next day, June 30th, the committee interviewed Uvalde CISD employee Becky Reinhardt, Uvalde County Precinct 1 Constable Johnny Field, and 2 peace officers who responded to the incident from DPS. A special agent, and a lieutenant. No, drop them names. That day, the committee's investigators also interviewed Robb Elementary School teacher Arnolfo Reyes, the teacher in room 111 who was still recovering from his injuries. The committee received a report and audio recording of the interview of Mr. Reyes. On July 11th, the committee reconvened in Austin to interview Alert Assistant Director John Cornett and Uvalde County Sheriff Ruben Nolasco, both by video conference. The committee also conducted a follow-up interview of DPS Director McCraw. The committee interviewed all 35 witnesses in executive session, meaning that the sessions were closed to the public, despite public expressions of frustration and even criticism that these meetings were conducted behind closed doors. The committee is confident that its method served the goal of an objective fact-finding process. Motherfuck. Are you serious? That public that they're talking about. Yeah, that's me. God damn. What it did was it hid. Love you, babe. What it did was hide these people. Who are these? Who was this special agent and lieutenant? Who were the teachers that fucking testified? Who was any of these that testified? Y'all kept it hidden for a reason, because it was never about finding facts. It was about putting some bullshit together, the bare minimum bullshit, and passing it off, hoping that it would quiet us. And it didn't. The committee was able to engage witnesses in candid discussions that may not have been possible in public hearings or other settings. In candid discussions. In addition to the witnesses who appeared before the committee in executive session, the committee's investigators conducted at least 39 independent informal interviews. Oh, so we're just doing informal interviews now too? Nothing formalized about this. The committee and its investigators have reviewed hundreds of crime scene photos and dozens of audio and video recordings from the incident, including surveillance, camera footage, mobile phone video, 911 calls, radio transmissions, and body-worn camera footage. They reviewed recordings and summaries of witness interviews conducted and recorded by law enforcement agencies, documentation received from the Department of Public Safety and reviewed by the committee included an enormous trove of digital evidence, including data from mobile phones, cloud storage, and social media messages. The committee received and reviewed thousands of pages of documents received from numerous agencies, including Alert, ATF, Texas DPS, FBI, Texas School Safety Center, and Uvalde CISD. These documents included school audits and safety plans, school disciplinary records, employment records, criminal history reports, dispatch logs, ballistic reports, firearm traces, gun store records, information about the victims, and various diagrams, sketches, and timelines. The committee also invited and received suggestions from witnesses about how to improve policies relating to school safety, firearm safety, law enforcement training and resources, and active shooter response, and then didn't do a goddamn thing about it. Holy fuck. The committee genuinely appreciates the input from all witnesses, and it will be shared with the House committees formed to evaluate and propose policies to address mass violence prevention and community safety. All of that shit, and y'all still voted no to firearm reform. Holy fuck. Imagine that. All right. Let's take a quick break before we get into this, because this is where it's going to start getting heavy. It starts getting heavy. Any questions in regards to that last section? Like I said going into it, that was just the stupid shit that they were saying. How we formed this committee and everything. Oh, I know, love. I know. Trust me. I'm already dreading reading this. I'm already dreading it. How am I feeling? Not good at all, but it's something that needs to be done again. And to be honest, I'm a little burnt out on the debate shit. So we're marching through. Somebody's got to provide this information, Somebody's got to. Absolutely, babe. Yeah, absolutely, Beverly. Absolutely. Let me see here. Am I going to redo the other reports as well? At least the DOJ one for sure. I mean, this is going to take a few days. So, just for this one, I mean, we're only almost a quarter of the way through. Real quick though. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Whitley, for the 20 and said, nope. Wrong one. Nope. I guess no. I guess no W's. No, that was a random request from someone I don't know. I thought it said the opposite. Anyways, yeah, yeah, yeah. The DOJ did take forever, so that one's gonna be a long one, the DOJ one. But we will. All right, we will continue on with this. The committee has great respect for teachers and all who dedicate their lives to the education of the children, except they need to fix this shit, right? They need to fix this because the committee doesn't have great respect for teachers and all who dedicate their lives to the education of children. Because if they did, they would have enacted policies that would, help with school security and firearm reform. Once again, to be preventative instead of reactive. So, just another lie right out the bat. As of the fall of 2020, there were 5,371,586 students in Texas schools. There are 1,204 school systems, most of which are independent school districts. The largest independent school district in Texas is in Houston, with 196,943 students enrolled for the 2020-21 school year. The smallest district is in San Vicente ISD, which had 5 students for 2020-21. Let me ask y'all this. Why the fuck does that matter? Why are we randomly bringing up Houston and San Vicente? What the flying fuck? It's just that they say shit just to say shit. Most school districts have multiple campuses with multiple buildings. It is estimated that there could be as many as 80,000 buildings in the state of Texas that house children at various times during the school years. These are important facts to remember in context of discussing policy related to school hardening measures. So what school hardening measures did you fucking suggest? Sorry. Y'all are going to see me rage more during this shit than I ever did on people trying to argue against gun reform. Like, this shit enrages me so much. So much. Uvalde CISD serves a rural community of 15,217 citizens. The district school includes Uvalde High School, Morales Junior High, Anthony, Flores, Robb, and Dalton Elementary Schools, and several alternative education programs. The campus buildings range from over 100 years in age to the newest school, Uvalde High School, which was opened nearly 4 decades ago in 1983. Uvalde CISD constructed many of those older buildings during times when the potential threats to students was much more different than those faced today. Absolutely not. We've had school shootings since the 1800s. While no school could ever be built to prevent every conceivable threat, they can be built and operated in ways to better mitigate risk and impede potential threats from outside attackers. Until recently, the Uvalde Police Department was responsible for security in the Uvalde public schools. In 2018, Uvalde CISD established its own police department, headquartered at Uvalde High School, with 9 different schools and a budget for 6 police officers. Uvalde CISD oversees more campuses than it has officers, and it has assigned no officers specifically to Robb Elementary. Instead, officers would regularly visit the Robb campus for a walkthrough several times per week, usually lasting from 15 to 45 minutes. Uvalde CISD Police Chief Pete Arredondo and his second in command, Mike Hernandez, also testified that they visited campuses and walked halls to rattle doors to confirm they were locked. This is going to be important because we're going to talk about the doors and the locks later fucking on. Uvalde CISD police officers commonly carried 2 radios, one for the school district and another police radio. It's in quotations. Police radio, which transmitted communications from various local law enforcement agencies. While the school district radios tended to work reliably, the police radios worked more intermittently depending on where they were used. So tell me why then did Arredondo throw down both the school radio and the police radio? And don't we have video of the Arredondo talking about how the doors didn't lock? We're just gonna ignore all that, right? Okay. Doesn't this get tiresome? Yep. 100%. It gets extremely tiresome. Real quick. Thank you so much, Amber, for the 20, saying ACAP forever. Never apologize to us for your feelings. They're all valid. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Also, thank you so much to Amy, who said, I know this must be very hard for you to read. Love to you and your family. And sent 5. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Let me see here. Yeah, I 100%. I appreciate literally everything y'all do. Taps, shares. This is important shit that needs to come out. You know it, and I think that it has gone on too long to not be revisited because. People don't know. People forget. People lose interest. One second. Okay. Let me see here. All right. Oh shit. I didn't see this earlier. I am so sorry. W's. I appreciate it so much, Taro, for the 5. Who sent a heart. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. And I'm so sorry I did not see that before. All right, down to the active shooter plan. Fuck. What fucking page are we on? 14. We're at 14 of 77. This is going to be fucking long. All right. As directed by state legislation enacted in 2019, Uvalde CISD adopted a policy for responding to an active shooter emergency, and Uvalde CISD deserves credit for having done so. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Uvalde CISD deserves credit for having done so. What is the point of them having a fucking active shooter policy when they don't abide by it? That's like, well, you know, this person deserves credit. Brett Cross deserves credit for having the cure for cancer, but he doesn't give it out. What? Oh, my damn. Whew. Uvalde CISD Police Chief Arredondo and Director of Student Services Kenneth Mueller, who put his hands on me and nothing happened. Crazy. I love you, babe. You go rest. You go rest. Arredondo and Kenneth Mueller prepared a document titled Annex 1 Active Shooter and adopted it on April 15th, 2020. The document identified its purpose as seeking to outline the local organization, operational concepts, responsibilities, and procedures to accomplish coordinated administration, teachers, district police officers, local law enforcement, and first responders to prevent, prepare, respond, and recover from the possibility of an active shooter entering any of the district campuses. But they didn't use it. They didn't use it at all. The plan called for utilization of the NIMS system, which is the National Incident Management System, during an emergency to coordinate response efforts. It further stated that the district's police officers, administrators, and teachers and support staff, along with the students, have the daily responsibility to mitigate and prevent an active shooter situation. So why didn't the district's police officers, administrators, and teachers and support staff prevent an active shooter situation? And why do the kids have to? What the fuck? What? Did I read that correctly? It further stated the district's police officers, administrators, teachers, and support staff, along with the students, have the daily responsibility to mitigate and prevent an active shooter situation. I'm flabbergasted right now. I am completely flabbergasted. The Uvalde School District's active shooter plan said that the district's police officers, administrators, and teachers and support staff, along with the students, have the daily students should not have the daily responsibility to mitigate and prevent active shooter situations. What the fuck? If we as adults would do our goddamn jobs, pass regulations and fucking laws that actually help them survive and everything, they wouldn't have to. The fuck you victim blaming? And that all staff members and students will know the proper procedures to follow if a suspected shooter is on the campus. With respect to securing doors, the active shooter policy stated staff will conduct inspections of classrooms to make sure doors and windows can be secured. There's a key word right there, can be. Doors to all classrooms will remain locked during instruction, and the campuses will have one main entry point to the school. Each staff member will know the procedures to follow in order to have any door or window repaired that will not lock. But why didn't the fuck, see? Once again, that principal knew, maintenance knew, they didn't do nothing. The active shooter policy outlined a series of preventative safety measures that served as the primary preventative strategy to address problems of violence, vandalism, disruptions, and fear. As applicable to Robb Elementary, these preventative measures included police officers. The district employs 4 officers. This includes a chief, a detective, and 2 officers. Partnerships with local law enforcement. Local law enforcement agencies are... Shit, where is it? Thank you so much, love. I love you. I know.
I'm sorry.
It's getting rough now.
I love you.
I love you. Fuck. Okay. Partnerships with local law enforcement. Local law enforcement agencies are invited to come to any of our campuses while they are on patrol. UCISD provides free breakfast or lunch to any law enforcement personnel visiting our campuses. We can give our officers free meals. We can give school we can give free breakfast and lunch to any law enforcement personnel visiting the campuses. But fuck them kids. That's exactly what that says. That's exactly what the fuck that says. Holy fuck. Our children didn't have that. I mean, some did, but like all of them, no. But we're gonna feed cops. The same cops, I guarantee, had been fed there, sat outside for 77 minutes. Every campus, threat assessment teams. Every campus employs an interdisciplinary team of trained professionals that convene to identify, evaluate, classify, and address threats or potential threats to school security. Following assessment, this team determines appropriate response and intervention. This includes notification and involvement of parents, a suicide risk assessment, and the development of a written safety plan. Social media threats. UCISD utilizes Social Sentinel to monitor all social media with a connection to Uvalde as a measure to identify any possible threats that might be made against students and or staff with the school district. Really? So why didn't y'all catch this shit before? Perimeter fencing. Dalton, Anthony, and Robb have fencing that encloses the campus, is designed to limit and or restrict access to individuals without a need to be on the campus. That motherfucking fence is a 4-foot fence. Chain link, too. Radios. Key staff has been provided radios to support campus communication processes. Locked classroom door policy. Teachers are instructed to keep their classroom doors closed and locked at all times. Barriers are not to be used. Substitutes shall follow the same policy, with campuses ensuring they have access to the classrooms they need throughout the day. The standard response protocol procedures are on the back of all of our badges issued to a substitute teacher. So then, once again, why does that principal still have a job? Why does maintenance still have jobs? Explain that to me. Staff training. All staff members are trained annually in emergency protocols for the campus. Key campus personnel are CPI trained. Student training and drills. Student receive training on the standard response protocol for lockout, lockdown, evacuate, shelter, and hold. In addition, drills are held for each of these emergency actions on a regular basis. Yes, let's train our kids to be fucking terrified of school because they know that there's a possibility of getting shot there instead of doing something. I don't know. I haven't had anything to do with that new school, Beverly. I would assume so, though. I would assume so. Threat reporting system. Students, parents, staff, and community members are encouraged to share information with us that is deemed troubling so that we may take appropriate action. This includes information about weapons, threats, fights, drugs, self-harm, suicide, or disclosures made that are concerning. Reports may be made online at ucisd.net by contacting any campus administrator, district administrator, or UCISD police officers. In the event of an active shooter, the policy expressly provided that upon verification of an active shooter, the district police department chief will become the person in control of the efforts of all law enforcement and first responders that arrive at the scene. The response was to include, if possible, securing the administration office as a command post and retrieving the critical information and data about the school's emergency systems, including communications, staff, and students' location, detailed floor plans, and other important information, documents, items, and supplies that are prepared and readily available for use during the incident. So why didn't they? Goddamn, I'm getting sicker and sicker. Holy fuck. We're going to take a quick break and read off some thank yous real quick. Because this is fucking frustrating me. Let me see here. Thank you so much, Courtney, for the 5. Said, wish I could send more, but thank you for your strength and courage continuing to share Uzi's story and fight for reform. I can only imagine how difficult it is. No, thank you. Thank you so much. I don't want anybody to ever stress themselves by donating or anything like that. If you can, awesome. If you can't, I feel you. Shit's rough. Times are rough. I feel you. Thank you so much, Ashley, for the 10. Saying, never apologize for having these emotions. I'm a longtime silent watcher who lost my brother to gun violence. We fight because they can't anymore, and their love keep us going. So much love. I am so sorry, Ashley. If you are in the chat, if you could tell us your brother's favorite colors, you'll see something amazing happen in the chat. I am so sorry to hear that. Also, thank you, Stephanie, for the 10, and said not to add levity to such a serious situation, but we're going to need to call this cross commentary. Commentary on reports or news where you get rightfully angry. It's cross comment. That's a great fucking idea. Yep, we're calling that. Blue and orange. His name is Kiefer. Forever 22. Guys, y'all know what to do. Y'all flood this with the blue and the orange. I am so sorry. for those on the YouTube, what we do for somebody that has lost somebody to gun violence, we ask their favorite colors so that we can flood the chat with those colored hearts so that we can honor and show love, show respect, and show that we're still fighting for them. So that would be something I would love to see start happening on the YouTube as well. Because Kiefer should be remembered, should be honored. All right. The active shooter policy recognized that the district has primary responsibility for the health and safety of students, staff, substitute teachers, and visitors while on district property, and that during an emergency, the district should coordinate with law enforcement, health, and medical services with other local first responders. The school district's police department was assigned the responsibility for Incident Command Center and for being first on scene to prevent or stop an active shooter. While the policy assigned to other local law enforcement and first responders the function and responsibility to follow the direction of the ICS leader to ensure proper procedures are followed and to accept assigned roles of ICS leader. Under a section titled Direction and Control, the policy laid out a specific line of succession. 1. Uvalde CISD Police Department Chief Pete Arredondo. 2. Uvalde CISD Police Department Lieutenant Mike Hernandez. And 3. The Director of Student Services, Kenneth Mueller. The policy calls for the district to conduct a post-incident review to analyze the process and make any corrective actions as determined. That's crazy that Kenneth Mueller is on there because what did he do? Did he have any training, any background, any fucking anything that would make it to where he should be third in line? I mean, obviously Pete and Mike didn't do a fucking thing. Kenneth didn't do a fucking thing. So what the fuck? The ball. Oh, I already read that. Before joining the Uvalde CISD Police Department, Chief Arredondo received active shooter training from the Alert Center, which the FBI has recognized as the national standard in active shooter response training. Every school district peace officer in Texas must be trained on how to respond in active shooter trainings. Not all of them get alert training, but Chief Arredondo and other responders at Robb Elementary did. Alerts training program identifies the challenges for law enforcement responders of possibly having to work with a small ad hoc team of individuals they may have never trained with before, and that the only way to swing the tactical advantage back in the favor of law enforcement responders is through the use of effective teamwork and tactics. You know what? I will say this, though. They were effective with teamwork. I have never seen a group of individuals collaborate and work so well with each other to absolutely not do a fucking thing. I've never seen it. I've never seen it like that. So, I mean, teamwork they got down. Holy fuck. The training identifies lessons to be learned from past active shooter incidents. From the Columbine tragedy in '99, one lesson was that responders must have tools and training to immediately make entry and neutralize an active shooter threat. Another Columbine lesson was the priority of life skill. Innocent civilians come before law enforcement and other responders. That's fucking wild because you literally hear in the tapes, I don't want to get clapped. they wouldn't do anything because they were terrified that they were going to get killed. They were okay with 9, 10, and 11-year-olds being killed, teachers being killed, but they were fucking terrified of it. Why the fuck are you a cop then? And if you want to hear that, and if you want to see the actions of the officers from that day on our nonprofit's YouTube at We Rise for You, you can watch Unimaginable, which has all of the information. It has all the videos that were released up to that point of the officers' actions, reactions, and not doing anything. It is the full, it's from start to finish, the whole 77 minutes and more. It's there, compiled, so that you can see everything. Another Columbine lesson was the priority of life scale. Okay, we read that. After Columbine, while protecting the lives of officers remained a high priority, stopping the killing of innocent civilians took first priority. From that movement forward, every law enforcement officer was expected to be willing to risk his or her life without hesitation. What the fuck? Law enforcement officers were expected to distract, isolate, and neutralize the threat, even in tactically complex situations and when they lacked special training. A lesson from the Navy Yard Building 197 incident in 2013 was that the earlier an incident commander structure can be established, the better. And this tragedy prompted an initial incident command block to be added to the alert level 1 course. The Pulse nightclub incident from 2016 taught the importance of awareness of the distinction between hostage, barricade, and active shooter scenarios. The Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School incident, and it's not an incident, it was murder, slaughter, like call it what it is, in 2018 taught the importance of incident command structure for appropriate management of resources, and that law enforcement responders must be prepared to use word-of-mouth communication when radio communications are overlooked. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas was also a great example of cops not doing a fucking thing. On the subject of communicating effectively, the alert course teaches that effective communication is necessary for successful teamwork. Regional law enforcement agencies should continually train together to establish radio protocols for use during multi-agency active shooter response. Law enforcement responders should be familiar with their regional communications plan, but also be prepared to respond effectively without reliable radio communications. After giving a message, law enforcement responders should look for confirmation that the intended party received and understood the message. If radio communications are unreliable, it may be necessary to use runners to deliver messages. The only thing those motherfuckers did, the only running that they did was away from the fucking shooter. That's the only running that they fucking did. What? With respect to establishing incident command, law enforcement responders are encouraged to complete incident command system, ICS, and National Incident Management System, NIMS, courses as early as possible in their careers. The alert training advises that the initial law enforcement responder to arrive at an active shooter scene becomes the initial incident commander by default. Further, as soon as the law enforcement responder notices that there appears to be sufficient officers hunting for the attacker, that responder should find a secure location, take out their active shooter response card, assume initial incident command, and begin completing tasks list on the card. Now, I know that y'all can't really see this card all that great. It's blurry on the screen, but it's also blurry on mine. I can't even. It's fucked. So, sorry about that. Let me see here. Okay. A later, more in-depth module on incident command describes the ICS process. Take command. The first step in the ICS process is for the first law enforcement responder who arrives on the scene to simply take command. There were 376 officers. Why didn't any of them take command? Command is passed up the chain as the scene or situation grows larger. As more officers arrive on scene, command is passed on and assumed by higher levels, building the ICS tree. All active shooter incident command structures will grow. This is a fact, and they will continue to grow for the next several days after the shooter is down. So that's the thing. You see it right here from alert and all that shit, is that it's not just the first person there, which is where we get it wrong a lot of the times, right? And this is why it's only Arredondo and shit. But let's read that again so that we can kind of see what happens. Command is passed up the chain as the scene or situation grows larger. So, as we know, school cops have jurisdiction over the school. Your highest is the chief. Then you have the city police, who their chief is the highest, right? And they have jurisdiction of everything, including the school. And then the sheriff, same with the lead sheriff, and then with the county, right? And then up to the state, to the DPS, and then our goddamn Texas Rangers are the top of the top. They're the top of the fucking totem pole and everything. Why didn't each of the chiefs or the highest ranking officer of all of those not get in trouble? Because we literally see it's passed up the chain. Why did they feel the need not to do anything? Why do they still have jobs? It gets better. All active shooter incident command structures will grow. This is a fact, and they will continue to grow for the next several days after the shooter is down as well. Taking command is as simple as saying, I have command. Motherfucker, I could have walked in. I could have walked in and said, I have command. Apparently, that's all you need to do is, I have command. But even then, none of them said, I have command. Next, taking command is important because it'll help stop freelancing and possible blue-on-blue scenarios. Next, the first law enforcement responder in should give a size-up report or an LCAN report. This is simply a location, condition, actions, and needs report telling follow-on units where the officer is at, what he or she sees on arrival, what they are doing or plan on doing, and what they need to complete the mission. LCAN reports should be updated as more actions are needed to give follow-up responders updated information as they are coming in. This will help with overconvergence and allows ICS systems to begin to set up. The LCAD report should continue to be updated as the situation changes or a situation begins. see where we're at, right? Real quick. We're on page 21. Let's see. Oh, goddamn. All right, let me see. As more law enforcement responders arrive on the scene, someone should assume command of the outside of the building. This person should be a higher ranking officer or any responder who sees enough personnel are inside and realizes that things need to be taken care of on the outside of the building. For example, perimeter control, ambulance exchange area, staging for all to set up, more contact teams. Command will be passed from the interior commander to the command person outside who can begin getting control of the chaos of the emergency. Eventually, this person will be relieved of his or her position, and an overall commander will take charge of the situation during the next several stages of the event. As the incident stabilizes, command will downsize and the situation will move into an investigation phase. Units will be released to service and cut loose. The main points to remember about ICS are that the first responder must take command. This responder must also give an LCAN report for upcoming units. Someone else on the outside of the building must then assume command from the first responder and begin to help gain control of the chaos. And nobody did that. 376 of these bastards, and not a single one did any of this. And this isn't information that they don't know, that they've never heard of, that they've never seen. This is information that all of them knew, but they just didn't give a fuck enough. They didn't care. They were okay with our children dying, as long as none of them got hurt. We have video of them being more worried about getting water and getting out of the sun and into the shade while there's literally someone still in the classroom with our children. It's just... Why didn't they care? Why didn't any of those officers care enough? Why didn't any of them go in and do what they were supposed to? All right. The alert training includes a module on entering locked buildings quickly, discreetly, and safely, advising that responders should be creative and make use of improvised tools to get inside the building however they can. With respect to using keys, alert teaches that often the quickest, most discreet, and safest method of entering a locked building is to locate a key, as long as keys can be located immediately. But if a key cannot be located quickly, law enforcement responders should use another technique to enter the area without delay. This training also suggests sledgehammers and pry tools as reliable, practical, and affordable breaching tools. And a separate module anticipates the challenge of breaching closed and locked outward opening interior doors, noting that many public buildings are required by law to have outward opening doors with self-closing mechanisms for all high occupancy rooms, and that law enforcement responders should be prepared to encounter the type of door during an active response. The key word there is immediate. Get a key if it can be located immediately, right? It's right here. But if a key cannot be located quickly, responders should use another technique. So why did they wait for keys for over 40 minutes? Why? Why didn't they just touch the damn door handle? Why didn't they just open it? We know why, right? This is a rhetorical question. We know why. It's because they cared more about their own safety than they did to children. The rise of bailout security incidents. So on the screen right now, it shows you where these are two different. Let me see if I can't. These are two different maps, right? So you have this one, which shows Del Rio, Eagle Pass, Uvalde. It shows kind of the location of where Uvalde sits. The second map shows where Robb sits within a zoomed in version of Uvalde. Uvalde CISD police officers visit school campuses in the event of lockdowns, which occurred relatively frequent at Robb Elementary due to its proximity to the intersection of Highway 83 and 90. And you can see that in both the maps, right? Chief Arredondo described a rise in bailouts to avoid being stopped by law enforcement vehicles loaded with undocumented immigrants traveling along highways leading from the border towns of Del Rio and Eagle Pass led officers on high-speed chases that often end by crashing the vehicle and allowing the occupants to scatter. Yeah, you really shouldn't. Like, we're just doing high-speed chases in towns. Numerous witnesses testified to the committee that there has been an increase in bailout activity over the past 18 months. Uvalde CISD Director of Student Services Kenneth Mueller testified that since February of 2021, high-speed chases have been a daily event in the Uvalde area, causing Uvalde CISD schools to be secured or locked down frequently, with 47 secure or lockdown events happening since late February 2022, and approximately 90% of those being attributed to bailouts. Uvalde CISD parents became so concerned about the number of bailouts occurring near the elementary school campuses that they offered to hire off-duty police to supplement the Uvalde CISD police presence. Raptor alert system. The school district witnesses also testified to another effect of the rising prevalence of bailouts. The alert system does not differentiate its signals between bailouts and other kind of alerts, such as an active shooter situation. The series of bailout-related alerts led teachers and administrators to respond to all alerts with less urgency. When they heard the sound of an alert, many assumed that it was another bailout. Raptor Technologies supplied the alert system Uvalde used. Uvalde CISD had used Raptor software to screen campus visitors for approximately 10 years. In the fall of 2021, Mueller viewed a presentation on Raptor's emergency management alert system, and he gathered the UCISD principals who agreed that they needed it. Uvalde CISD purchased the software in October 2021, and the first Raptor alert occurred on February 8th, 2022. So the funny fucking thing about that, Mueller now works for Raptor. Kind of funny how he was the one that got them and it didn't work, and now he works for them. That's crazy. By March 2022, as Uvalde CISD was implementing the Raptor alert system, there was a high volume of alerts. By utilizing the Raptor mobile phone application, any Uvalde CISD employee could activate an alert. A staff at a school campus typically would first learn about a bailout from an external source. Then they would decide, depending on the proximity of the threat to the school, whether to initiate a secure alert or a lockdown alert. You know what's funny? And they keep talking about these, the bailouts, right? These undocumented immigrants. Not once did they ever go to that school. Not once. When they're bailed out, not one time did they actively go to the school. You know who did? U.S. citizens armed with guns. That's who goes into the schools and does these things. So this really should be a commentary on that as well. But I know why Dustin Burrows continues to, insisted and pushed for this to be inside this conversation so that he can continue to blame things on undocumented immigrants when the call's coming from inside the fucking house. But whatever. Burrows will do whatever fucking Donald Trump and fucking Greg Abbott tells him, so. Chief Arredondo explained it was important to notify schools in the vicinity of the highways about bailouts because the passengers would scatter everywhere and the school police did not want them coming on campus. While there have been no incidents of bailout-related violence on Uvalde CISD school grounds, there have been examples of high-speed driving that sometimes cross school parking lots and reports of some bailout incidents involving firearms in the surrounding neighborhoods. Where does it say it got that from? 65. Oh, just testimony from Arredondo and Keith Mueller. That's it? I want to see these fucking reports. The committee received evidence that Uvalde CISD employees did not always reliably receive the Raptor alerts. Reasons included poor Wi-Fi coverage, phones that were turned off or not always carried, and employees who had to log in on a computer to receive a message. Uvalde CISD facilities and maintenance. Uvalde CISD has a maintenance and operations department overseen by Director Rodney Harrison, who testified before the committee. Harrison expressed his view that Uvalde CISD's buildings are in fairly good shape. To facilitate taking care of each campus, the maintenance and operations department employs 14 full-time employees, supplemented by 6 students employed to help move furniture. Harrison stated that it is difficult to keep his department staffed, and he has recently lost employments to 2 retirements during the COVID pandemic and 1 death and another employee moving away. So this is why we still haven't been told the name of the fucking maintenance man that literally unlocked the door that morning and never locked it back. Robb Elementary Facilities and Management. Robb was built in 1955. Most recently, it served as the primary Uvalde CISD school for students in 2nd through 4th grades. New buildings were constructed at the elementary schools, including the West Building at Robb 22 years ago. Robb had a new principal beginning with the 2021-2022 school year. Principal Mandy Gutierrez has worked for Uvalde CISD for over 2 decades, starting as a 4th grade teacher at Robb in 2008. In 2018, she became assistant principal, and she served in that position until becoming the principal in 2021. Uvalde CISD had assigned 2 full-time custodians to Robb Elementary. The lead custodian was Jaime Perez. Who's the other one? In 2019, Uvalde CISD received a state-funded grant to upgrade school security. The school district used its fund to add video cameras to various campuses, build a fence surrounding Flores, and install magnetic entryways at some campuses. So, nothing. Trying to see where we're at, because holy fuck. 28. All right. Fuck, guys. I don't know. Oh, I don't know, guys. Did this come out recently? No, this is the report from 2022. This was the first report that came out. Texas did this as an interim report and then never conducted another investigation. They didn't give a shit. They didn't, you know. I knew I was going to be pissed off. I knew there was a reason why I hadn't read it in over 2 years. I was not expecting this level of anger and animosity tonight. How can Uvalde let this stand? Uvalde didn't give a shit. Uvalde supported us when they were getting free food and their bills paid for free, and HEB helping them out, and fucking Lance Armstrong coming down and giving 1 million kids bikes and this and that and everything. It's always, they always care when they were getting free shit. But when it came down to actually working with us and standing with us and saying no more, saying that I am so sorry that this happened to your kids, but we cannot let this happen to our kids, right? They don't care. They don't care at all. They said that we were tearing apart the community. Not the officers that sat outside while our children would die. That didn't tear up the community. No. Well, like this page says, right? There's no villains. Bullshit. I don't know, guys. I don't know if I can continue. I'm gonna try. I'll at least try to read another page or two, but it's getting rough again. So let me see something real quick. All right. Robb Elementary's principal testified that the school's west building had 3 exterior doors, 2 of which policy required to remain locked. Each classroom in the west building had a door to a hallway, which policy required to remain locked at all times. The interior classroom doors were also required to remain closed and locked at all times. The interior doors were solid metal with a small pane of glass and could only be locked from the outside using a key. The school district's police officers conducted walkthroughs during which they would check for locked doors. When they found doors unlocked, the officers would remind teachers to keep the doors locked, and in the event of repeat offenders, they would document the violations. Multiple witnesses reported to the committee that people at Robb Elementary commonly left doors unlocked, as did people at all the other UCISD schools as well. Teachers would use rocks to prop open exterior doors. They used door stops, wedges, and magnets to prevent interior doors locks from latching. Due to a key shortage, once again, this would have to be a principal and a maintenance issue. Due to a key shortage, Robb Elementary School substitute teachers often were instructed to use the magnet system to circumvent the locks in violation of school district policy. Who told them to do that? Uvalde CISD police officer Adrian Gonzalez testified that when an officer was walking the floors and checking the doors, teachers would notify each other and they would lock their doors. The officers would speak to the teachers and their supervisors, and they tried to discourage the use of magnets. Wait. Of course, Adrian Gonzalez is trying to fucking start some shit. Said when they were walking the floors and checking doors, the teachers would notify each other. So you're telling me that you're walking the floor of, like, let's say the West building, right? And these teachers are texting each other and telling them to lock your door real quick. They're here, right? And you didn't see any of them? Because we know that you had to be outside to lock and unlock the door. You couldn't be in the classroom. You had to lock it from the outside. But leave it to Adrian Gonzalez, who is currently about to be on trial for just allowing that shooter to walk right into the school. Common responses from teachers would include that they did not have a key, particularly in the case of substitute teachers, and that it was just temporary while a child was using the restroom. For some teachers, the inconvenience of keeping up with a key outweighed their perception of risk of leaving doors unlocked. Other teachers were rule followers, always locking their doors. I want to know who said that right there. So there's no... whatchamacallit? Fuck. I'm not thinking correctly right now. Supporting documentation for this statement right here. How did they get that? How did they come to that conclusion? I'm curious. At the time of the incident, all the doors in the building had been recently painted. In March 2022, around spring break, school administrators received a report from the teacher in room 111 that his classroom door was not always locking. So the principal knew this, the fucking maintenance knew this, and didn't do anything. According to numerous witnesses who testified before the committee, the door to room 111 could lock, although it took some extra effort, and if the door closed softly, it might not lock. But the head custodian at Robb testified that he had never heard about any problems with the doors for room 111 and 112. And if he had, he would have created a work order. Oh, yeah. Robb maintenance records confirmed the lack of any written work order to repair the rooms for 111 or 112 during the school year. Although UCISD policy required each staff member to know the procedures to follow to request repairs for a door that would not lock, Robb Elementary teachers testified to committee that instead of requesting a work order themselves, they would call school administrations who were responsible for making the requests. All right, real quick, let me see. Thank you so much, Evan, for the 2, and said, did you see the interview with Amy? Absolutely. Absolutely. I love Amy to death. She's absolutely amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, guys. One second. All right. Considering the district's policies about keeping doors locked, it was important that doors and locks be properly maintained. The manufacturer discontinued production of the door locks used at Robb Elementary. Why would they do that now? While the school district had acquired a supply of key blanks at the time the locks were purchased, that supply was gone by May of 2022. The director of maintenance and operations, Mr. Harrison, testified that people frequently lose, forget, or simply do not want to carry school keys. As a result, the custodians spend a lot of time opening doors. The maintenance and operations department has one employee who specializes in door repairs, but it relies on YouTube instruction videos, online diagrams, and the help of a local locksmith to work on locks. I ain't even going to say nothing. Harrison testified that unless there is a work order notifying his department of a problem, his employees do not regularly check doors. There were numerous different master keys that worked with different sets of locks at the Robb Elementary School campus. People who had master keys included Harrison, Principal Gutierrez, who just hid under their desk while, our kids were being slaughtered and, allowed it to happen by not making sure that the door was locked and fixed and all of that shit. Anyways, I digress. Assistant Principal Shauna Wolbert, Robb Instructional Coach Rebecca Guzman, Principal Gutierrez's secretary, Janet Martinez, and lead custodian, Jaime Perez. Both Uvalde CISD Police Chief Arredondo and Lieutenant Mike Hernandez possessed a large number of keys to Uvalde CISD buildings. Chief Arredondo kept a number of keys in his car, but he was not sure whether he had a master key for Robb Elementary. He knew he did not have a key to every building, though he testified that he had requested a complete cell for himself. Of the over 50 keys that he carried with him, Lieutenant Hernandez testified that he had a Robb Elementary master key that had worked, although sometimes he had to jiggle keys to make them work. Additionally, sometimes staff would change locks without notice to him. Just blaming everybody else, but taking accountability for your own fucking actions and failures. Arnolfo Reyes, the 4th grade teacher in room 111, stated in an interview that teachers and students in his building widely knew that the door to his classroom frequently did not lock, and indeed had gotten in trouble several times when the police officers found the door unlocked. He stated that on multiple occasions he reported the malfunctioning lock to school administrators, who stated that the request had been turned in, as was the apparent practice among Robb Elementary teachers. Reyes never submitted a work order to repair the door lock for room 111 himself. Principal Gutierrez, in her testimony, confirmed that school administration knew about the issues with that door, stating that it was reported around spring break. She knew and she didn't fucking do a goddamn thing. Oh, I know, Marissa. I know. But they've always said that she didn't know. They've been saying that. But in her testimony to these fucks, it's confirmed that she knew. I don't. Yeah, I can't. We're gonna wind down for the night. Tomorrow we will start on page 29, which starts talking about the attacker, and we will do that tomorrow. If you missed anything today, it is on the YouTube. The YouTube is at cross0524. If you need to replay or play it back. Yeah, I'm gonna have to what the fuck? Hold on. There we go. Hold on one second, guys. Before we leave for the night and we say it, we recall everything again. Thank you so much, Jenna, for the 15 and said happy holidays. I appreciate it so much. I truly appreciate it. Like I said, guys, we're gonna go ahead and close out tonight. Tomorrow we will be starting on page 29. That's where it starts talking about the attacker. So that one will be a hard one as well. Like I said earlier, if you missed a part, if you're going to miss tomorrow, if you need to, if you came in late, you had to leave early, whatever, you can find this on the YouTube, at cross0524. And they will be up so that we can have video documentation of us going through it again, because I did this, like I said, 2 years ago. It was hard then. It's even harder now. But they weren't recorded, and so many people haven't seen it. I haven't seen the information, haven't been given it, and everything. So, like I said, somebody's got to. But if it's got to be me, it's got to be me, So, all right, guys. With that, I am going to go ahead and get off for the night. I appreciate you all so much, and I will see y'all back again tomorrow to continue reading on.